Sit! Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
He's Garret Price.
How's it going?
And we are talking Dynasty Fantasy Football here at the end of May, even though it feels like the end of March because it's chilly willy. It has been all week. I don't like it.
Me and Rich are both in hoodies because we were just at baseball games and we're freezing to our core.
Yeah. And I was going to the game and I was like, because it was like 75. So it was like actually nice at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, it's like 75. I had the AC and I was like, finally, a nice day. I told my wife, she had her hoodie on. I was like, oh, should I wear a hoodie? She's like, I don't know. It's been cold lately. You should probably bring one. Thank God, because I ended up going in the car and like the fifth inning, like to go get a blanket because it was that cold. I wore sandals.
I was in shorts. Shorts because same thing. Yeah.
He had his first out over the fence home run game winner too. Shout out to my son. He was very happy.
Yeah. That's big time for sure.
Yeah. Good for him. He's even though he's like, you're still grounded. He was still not happy. Okay.
You're still grounded. You're still grounded. Give me that electronics as soon as we get home.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was late on the way to the game, dude. Nothing worse when your kids lie to you, like just right to your face, dude. And like 5 minutes later, you catch them, dude. You just lied. Like I was like, dude, you just lied to my face. Like I was like, I'm not even like upset about what you did. Like what you did was like just like BS, anyways. But like the fact that you just so easily and so casually lied to my face, like I just can't get over it. Like I was so mad. Like in my head, I was like, I just can't get over that fact. I was like,
that's when you break out the "I'm so disappointed."
Oh, I did say that.
And it guts them totally. I'm just so disappointed.
Oh, dude, I pulled out the whole. You're grounded for the whole summer. That's what I pulled out that. Like, dude, you're every day, no electron. The whole summer, I was like, no sleepovers, no fun. And I was like, I told my wife when finally we sat down on the bleacher, I was like, we gotta hold off for at least a couple of weeks for sure. Problem, my kids, dude. There's no long-term discipline. It's like there's no consequence. It's like getting sentenced to life in prison, then you get out like 2 weeks later. It's like, oh, dude, I'm just gonna keep on like stealing stuff. I don't think you get life in prison for stealing, but you know what you did.
I don't think you do either.
You know what you did.
Depending what you steal, though.
That is right. Yeah, you're right. Steal the Declaration of Independence. Guess what, buddy? Guess what? They're going to make a movie about you. And it's going to star Nicolas Cage.
That's right. Steal the president's daughter. Probably life.
Is that a movie?
I don't know that one's a movie, but it's probably going to be now.
Does Trump have a daughter? Oh yeah, Ivanka.
Yeah.
I'd steal. I'd borrow her.
All right. Tell us what we're covering.
Yeah, this just got weird, Rich. Let's move on. Football.
Yeah, come on. Listen. We're talking today, cornerstone draft. So we do this like once a year, right? I think we do this every year to kind of look back at the last 3 years draft. So it covers the last 3 years draft. So 24, 23, and 22. And you're like, well,
no, 25 through 23. So the class that just happened.
Oh, I mean, if you're
23, 24, 25.
I'm leaving you and Matt can take care of this. This is ridiculous. I just got here.
Look, I'm just saying, I'm trying to make sure people have the right information.
My son just had a moment. You're trying to take it away from me. Come on.
This moment of being grounded?
Proud dad moment of grounding my son for all summer. First time I've ever done that. So anyways, you may be like, hey, why are they drafting the 25, 24, and 23 class? And you're like, what's the importance and why of the cornerstone? It's because, these players are the players that the more names you hear at the top of the list that we mentioned that you have on your team is probably the team that's going to be set up to win potential back-to-backs, right? Like these are the players that, listen, everybody's tradable in Dynasty, but at the top of this list, it's like these are overpay players, right? Like these are the players you sit, you set, you forget. Like that is it. Like this is what the importance of like youth at the highest degree, because like the privilege of having a player that you can put in your lineup for so long, like definitely when you talked about the quarterbacks or a 21-year-old receiver, 21-year-old tight end, more importantly, a quarterback is like the privilege of having that position and put them in your lineup and feel confident about it for like over a decade set you up for so much success outside of Dynasty of just a winning factor of getting W's. It's your rookie drafts. You don't feel that component of, oh, I gotta reach, which we always say, don't reach for players. But I understand, like, it's hard not to when you really need a running back, and like there Emeka Buka's there, but like you need a running back so bad because you're a playoff team and you desperately need it. So you draft RJ Harvey or Caleb Johnson over Emeka, and you kind of and I get how you get there. But that's also like, could it work out? Yeah, but it also set your team back pretty well when you start reaching. So, having those positions locked up allow you to take the best player available and let the draft fall to you. And that's going to set you up for long-term success as well, making trades. So these cornerstone players, we love to do it and kind of just get a lay of the land too. Like, what is this new fresh batch? Because it changes all the time. A guy last year, maybe like Marvin Harrison Jr. might have not went at 2-1 this year. He probably would have went like 1-4. You know what I mean? Things change every year in Dynasty, and that's going to be consistent outside the cornerstone players, the veterans, the guys who aren't cornerstone players, like a guy like Drake London, who's not in this episode. Like, these players change. The landscape of Dynasty changes drastically by year. It truly changes almost every month. Like, NFL is such a nonstop business. It really does change every month. And it's on you as a Dynasty owner to navigate that landscape, right? And kind of find those windows and find the value. So with this, we're going to jump in. Matt picked first, Garret picked second, I picked third. And saying this it's kind of like, I don't know how you guys went into it. Like, I was trying to grab players, like, again, this is different than ranking a player, right? Like, you're trying to grab what's the best available in this group of a mix of players. It's not more so of a ranking. Like, I felt compelled, like, wow, there's a really, thanks to this year's class, like, this is a really deep group at running back. Like, I don't necessarily need to grab a running back early because there's so much talent here. And I think that's how it played out for me. So we'll talk about our selections and why we took them there compared to other guys. But that's how I felt in this draft, at least. Like, oh, I don't necessarily see you take this running back because there's another running back 5 down that I feel almost just as comfortable with. So, Matt, you're on the clock.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of that stuff going on. And another thing that I think that is a good a good thing about doing this exercise once every year is you get to see how the current rookies kind of stack up with the 2 classes kind of before it, right? So and kind of layer them in. They're all relatively young players, they're all exciting players, but where do these rookies kind of weave their way into the guys that are more established, the guys that we've seen do it? So I think that's an important part of this exercise as well.
That's a really good point. Yeah, you're right. Like, kind of see where these classes stack up. You'll see a lot of 24 players go here. And also, there's probably like 4 picks I made, and I was like, oh, I probably should take the player that went right behind them. Like, every time I'm like, I should take a player. So, and I'll just say,
a lot of guys are so close. A lot of guys are so close.
They really are. So, with the first pick, I think this one was pretty easy. We're doing a Superflex tight end premium draft, so I'm going to go Jayden Daniels with the 1-1. Is there any kind of argument here? I feel like just too much upside to pass up, too much rushing upside, too much passing upside.
He's my 1-1 overall in Superflex tight end premium no matter what. So, like, this was the biggest no-brainer possible for me, because I would take, if this was to start up with every player in the draft, I'm still taking Jayden Daniels.
Right. That's I think I'm getting close to that. I'm not quite there, but yeah.
I think the only thing that would change it slightly for me is based on your perspective of it. Like, are you doing it just best available player, or factoring in the other groups? So, like, there's maybe a few less tight ends than there are quarterbacks, because we had a really strong quarterback class 2 years ago. So that would be the only thing for me that would make it even close. But I'm with you. I would have gone Daniels.
So that puts you on the clock there, right?
Yeah. And that made it pretty easy for me, because I knew if Daniels went in all of my startups right now, I would love to get Brock Bowers. Actually got him and then realized it was a mock draft and not a real one. And I was like, dang it. Because he fell to like 110. And I was like so excited that he fell that far. But I'm comfortable taking him basically after the first 3 or 4 quarterbacks in a Superflex tight end premium. I'm pretty comfortable going Brock Bowers as the next guy there. And especially looking at the available players. Trey McBride he's one class before that. He was in the 22 class, so he's not available in this draft. So that took another one of those young tight ends out of the equation. And then we know kind of after that top 3 or 4 guys, it's kind of all up in the air. They're kind of all similar. Yes, there's some rookies this year that are interesting, and we'll talk about when we take those guys and stuff like that. But Brock Bowers made it pretty easy, even though there's another 4 or 5 guys that we could argue are first round selections in a startup right now. I was pretty set on Brock Bowers if Jayden Daniels went, which he did.
I was really hoping you were going to take your boy Bijan, because I know how you like to snag those backs. And
I was tempted. I was
going to give all over the Brock Bowers and kind of give my spiel about why I did it. But you're right. I mean, I think Brock Bowers is one of those unique players. I know it's only after 1 year, and I hate when people say like, "Oh, dude, it's only after 1 year you're going to put him that high." It's like, no, dude, I'm going to go all the way back to when he was 18 and he stepped on the field at Georgia, and he's been doing the same exact thing. Like,
yep.
When you have a chance to grab unicorns, right? Like the truest definition of like unicorns, there's not many of them, right? When you say like, I said I have Jayden Daniels 1-1. Matt's like, I'm not quite there yet. Cause yeah, right. Anybody who has Josh Allen 1-1, I have no argument. It's probably the much safer move, right? Like, so you can't call Josh Allen necessarily a unicorn when you would also make an argument for taking Lamar Jackson or Jayden Daniels, right? Running backs, like you could make an argument to take Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of him. You can't sit here and say hands down like he's gonna be number 1. Brock Bowers is a true unicorn, right? Yep. There was a time like when like Antonio Brown, his peak was like a unicorn at the time. What he was doing. Yeah. Travis Kelce was a unicorn.
LaDainian Tomlinson
was a unicorn. So like those guys, when you use the word generational, those guys are really hard to come by. And that's what Brock Bowers is. And that's what I'm projecting him to be. And he's one of those few positional players where like you said, Garrett, like outside of those first couple of quarterbacks, like honestly, in a Superflex league, outside of Jayden Daniels, Josh Allen, and I can listen why on Lamar, he's 28, he's a Russian quarterback. Like, there's no wrong too high of a place to take Brock Bowers. Like, you're really not. And honestly, if you took him like 1-1, like in a Superflex tight end premium, because if it was like 2 points per reception, like, yeah, go ahead and take Brock Bowers. Like, just go ahead and do it. I understand it. Not 100% sure I'd still get there over Josh Allen and Jayden Daniels in Superflex, but I understand it. And so thinking, I'll just come back and take 2 quarterbacks in the second round. Like, not a big deal. There's only one Brock Bowers, as good as Trey McBride is. He's 21 years old. So I love that pick. I'm on a clock at 3. And same thing. Like I was thinking like, wow, like, dude, Bijan here would be really nice. Gibbs is really nice here. But like, there's so many running backs and there's 3 of us drafting. I was like, even there wasn't like, it was coming back in a 12-man. I'm like, I can get the guy I want. So I stood with my, the receiver I liked, I thought was a clear cut above the rest. That was Malik Nabers, another 21-year-old superstar, put up great numbers last year behind a terrible team. So as this team kind of slowly starts to figure out in New York and keeps acquiring that high draft capital, they're gonna really build around him. And with his youth and his ability, what he could do from a fantasy football perspective, it's like I'm basically getting at like younger Jamar Chase, that younger Justin Jefferson. So to me, Malik Nabers was over the running backs, over the quarterback. I did consider a quarterback here too, but like, again, like I didn't see like a drastic difference amongst those quarterbacks, right? Like between like the Caleb Williams and Drake Mays. Like I was like, I'm comfortable with any of those guys, over that. Like, but at receiver, it's like, okay, I like everybody behind them, but not as close as much as I like.
He's in his own tier.
Yeah. Outside of like the running back, again, like he was one of the last first round startup players that I saw on the board. So I went Malik Nabers here at 1-3.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, that's a good pick. And the Bowers pick before that, he was the only other guy I was thinking about at 1-1 when I picked Jayden Daniels. He was the only guy that ever got like another thought. So at 1-2, I think that's a great pick. So both those guys are I think slam dunks. And Bijan Robinson, who I take next year at 1-4, I think those are like the guys that I'm picking first. I know I'm picking again fourth. I was looking at those 4 guys going, I wonder which one of these guys is going to fall back to me, because I knew that was kind of going to be the order. Or I suspected that was going to be the order. So when, Bijan was there, I'm going to very easily and happily pick him because he's a stud. I mean, there's, obviously, you can make arguments for other guys, Jahmyr Gibbs and such at the running back position. But, there's some stuff up in the air. Ben Johnson leaves the Lions. Who knows what that exactly is going to look like? I'm sure it's going to be fine, but we just don't know that for certain. Like, I think it's going to be fine, but I don't know it's going to be fine. While Bijan, is what he is and is going to be operating at a high level. And last year he finished third. Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, we were just talking about it, he finished first in PPR. So it's you can kind of flip a coin. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of the guys, but Bijan is a guy that just kind of had a little bit more stability. So that's why I rolled with him there.
Yeah, I think long term, like again, Dynasty is about, projecting the most fantasy points for the longest time possible, right? Like those guys are a coin flip, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Bijan because I could see him having that the longevity. I know Jahmyr Gibbs wins in the pass catching, but and he could easily be Alvin Kamara, right? Which is like you win at a very high level.
That was going to be my argument. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, he could be the next Alvin Kamara pretty easily in my
and that's the thing. When you're on the clock, though, you have to make that decision. And if I had to hedge one on the touch factor, I guess it's a better way to say it is like I could see Bijan Robinson getting more touches longer than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Right.
But yeah, you'll see in the first round here of this. I mean, honestly, the first like 20 picks, like I think I go all the way down to like pick like 2-6. There's no defense. Like it's just an easy like.
There's no wrong answers here. These have been some very good draft classes, and
and these three complement each other very nicely too. Where we have the really strong running back class this year. The year before, really strong at receiver and quarterback. We've had some nice tight ends sprinkled in. We've had these classes have really complemented each other very nicely as well.
This could be the nicest 3-year cornerstone draft like we've ever done when it came to like a mix of talent, like deep, like depth wise. Like and you sprinkle in some of the unknowns of the 25s this year.
Yeah, like, we'll see.
This is deep.
Absolutely. That puts me up. That made Jahmyr Gibbs a real easy slam dunk pick next. And honestly, all three of these young running backs are, I would argue, in the similar tier. I would take them in the order that they end up going. But I have no problem with any of those three young running backs. I want all three of those guys on my teams. I want, in best case scenario, I want 2 of those 3 in every single league. That's the dream scenario. Obviously, it doesn't always happen, but I do have a surprising amount of teams though that have 2 of these 3. Partly because of how much I've valued it at the beginning, and some of the startups I did last year, it was Bijan and then Gibbs at the turn and, picking at 10 or something like that. So that's kind of helped. And I've made some trades and things like that. But you have to sacrifice other places to make those kinds of things happen. They're not cheap. They don't come for free. But all that being said, it's really splitting hairs between all these guys. And it makes sense that Gibbs would go right after Bijan.
And this is where, like, for me, I was torn because, like, in a startup draft, I'm taking Caleb Williams. In this draft, I saw that clear line of like a difference maker again, this is projected now at a position. And I took Ashton Jeanty. So I went Bijan, Gibbs, and Jeanty. And I was like, all right, in a startup, I'd probably take Caleb Williams here, but I want to grab one of these running backs that I feel really good about. At a high level, the guy that could be the next Bijan and Gibbs, and then kind of that in that category with youth. So same thing. I was like, I still like a lot of these quarterbacks. I still feel pretty comfortable about a couple of these quarterbacks I can get. And it was deep for me too. Like I felt really good about the 2 quarterbacks I ended up getting, I guess is the best way to say it. And that was kind of my strategy going into it. Like, okay, there's multiple players here that I want to take a little bit higher, definitely at running back. And you know who that is, Garret. I was like, but I can wait because I know, again, I know I can wait on those players, which is, again, a strategic part when you draft, right? You can love a player, but it's so important to know ADP. You want to strike a round ahead, not 3 rounds ahead. So
right.
I went Ashton Jeanty here going, if I miss out on him, there's no way I'm getting another running back like at that caliber and come back. Could HM be at that caliber? Of course he could be, for sure. But like, I feel way more confident, again, going back to that touch category, of Ashton Jeanty for the next 8 years.
Oh yeah.
Dominating his team in touches. So I went Ashton Jeanty. Real torn there though, between him and Caleb Williams.
Yeah. And that's a great pick. I think that was the last of that tier, like Garrett had mentioned. Those guys are all kind of real close. Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jeanty. So I think that was good that you gobbled them up, because I would have happily taken them here if you didn't, and just doubled up on running backs, back-to-back picks, and felt great. But I didn't get the chance because you took him, and with the 7th pick in the first round here, I went Caleb Williams. I felt like he was kind of sticking out as kind of almost a sore thumb there as the value quarterback, value at all positions, really. You guys had kind of forgot. I mean, it's the second guy off the board. I picked Jayden Daniels first, and we're getting our second quarterback way down here at 7. And in Superflex tight end premium, I mean, this likely wouldn't happen in any normal draft. It's just the kind of format we were doing, and where the values were and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that we're not building real teams or anything, we don't have to start any of this. We don't have to build a starting lineup here. We're just picking best player
I think we should ask the Nerd Herd to join us in this league, but we get to keep all of these guys, and then we just pick from there.
Oh, that wouldn't be bad. Yeah, sure.
I like this strategy.
Yeah, you guys are going to pick everybody else. We'll join you in the 15th round.
Yep. I'm good with that.
Seems like we would have a slight advantage there, but I'm sure we could get enough people to do it if we really wanted to. But anyway,
I'm sure we will get DMs and emails like, "I'm in. Sign me up for that league, man."
You're going down.
Yeah, screw you guys. Stack it against me.
So Caleb Williams. I don't know. Do you guys see that any other way there, or I was looking at wide receivers at that point, because I hadn't picked one. Brian Thomas was there, but I saw so many.
Honestly, if I were picking by myself, it was just me, this would have probably been in order the first 7 picks. Okay. Like, this is probably how I would have put them all in order, honestly.
And like I said, I would probably take Caleb Williams ahead of Ashton Jeanty in a startup. In this format, I took Ashton Jeanty ahead of Caleb Williams. I'm in on Caleb Williams, man. Like, I am a massive fan of his potential, right? Like, I love positional players that are set up for success. Like, I say it all the time, like, where you go, the scheme you play in, the weapons around you, the coaching you have matters. And Caleb, nobody was set up more this offseason for success anywhere throughout the whole NFL than Caleb Williams. They increased his offensive line drastically, trade him for the 2 guards, Pro Bowler and All-Pro guard, drafted really well. Take Colston Loveland. They take Luther Bird in the second. They have DJ Moore. They have Roma Dunze. They can, again, build him about him in top 10 last year. So then you bring in Ben Johnson for the ultimate cherry on top. That's cherry and sprinkles on top. So put that all together. Yeah, and whipped cream. And then you can think about, like drop a couple Viagras in there while you're at it. And like
the ultimate cherry on top.
Yeah, that's the ultimate cherry on top. So like it's hard to get I think we just did we're in a mock draft for an article we're doing for Nerds, Garrett. And I think
that's when I got Brock Bowers, and then I forgot it wasn't a real league, and I was like, dang it.
Yeah, I had to 1-1 in that draft. I took Jayden Daniels 1-1, and at the turn at 2-2-1, Caleb Williams was there. Or 2-12, I'm sorry. Caleb Williams was there. I drafted him, and I couldn't believe it. And Caleb Williams is still available. Like, I know I was negotiating a trade for Caleb Williams not too long ago, and I was I had some Caleb Williams shares, and I was just saying like how much I valued his upside because of the situation he is in. And it just goes to show you, like, when you're looking at a player that much upside and he's still obtainable, a guy that could jump, like, again, if I'm going to 2-1, they could jump probably, if things go really well in Chicago, you're probably looking at him at that 1-2, 1-3 range in startups, maybe as low as probably the lowest 1-5. Caleb Williams has that kind of like potential to jump up how we've seen like a Brock Bowers have jumped, a Malik Nabers has jumped, a Bijan and Gibbs, like, but even higher. Because in Superflex, when you get your hands on one of those young quarterbacks, kind of go back to that Jayden Daniels, pick is, yeah, I think Josh Allen probably will score more points than Jayden Daniels again. But if I can get 8 years younger, 5 years younger, like that's a massive upgrade at a position that plays for 15 years in the league. And going back to that set it, forget it thing, I've said this podcast before, I had Drew Brees on my roster for 17 years. Like that was just an unbelievable privilege to have. 17 years I started the same quarterback in our original Dynasty League. So when you get a guy like a Pat Mahomes in there, a Josh Allen where he is now, but now at this stage, a Caleb Williams or a Jayden Daniels, so you put those guys in your Superflex lineup, like those are the kind of guys that can walk you to the playoffs year in and year out. We mentioned Peyton Manning, how he's a GOAT not too long ago. If you're in a Dynasty League with a 1 QB league with Peyton Manning for those 15 years, like there's a good chance you're a playoff team just because of Peyton Manning, right? Like the kind of players that can walk you there. Like Josh Allen, if he's on your Dynasty roster, like there's a good chance you're a playoff team because he's single-handedly going to get there. Like if you had Jamar Chase last year as an example, you probably made the playoffs, right? When you have a 300-point player. So Caleb Williams, dude, I know it's, again, I went real long here on Matt's pick, but like I just want to emphasize like how like much like I'm excited for all my shares. And the fact that he's still like obtainable. Like this is probably that last window to go get him. Like what looks like an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow is that's a definition of Caleb Williams. Because all these other guys, you're not getting for any of that, right? Like every guy we mentioned right now, Jeanty, Gibbs, Robinson, Nabers, Bowers, Daniels, you have to drastically overpay to get those guys. The 1-1 rookie draft, you have to drastically overpay. Caleb Williams right now, you can probably get for fair value. And when I have opportunities like that, those are the dynasty moves that could be the difference of your team winning some championships and not, right? Those decisions you make in that right window, right? I know recently I've been talking a lot about the dynasty windows, like grabbing Caleb Williams now is that right opportunity. I still don't know if that Brock Purdy window closed, but that was a nice window, the Brock Purdy window. So I can't emphasize enough. If you have opportunity to get Caleb Williams, yes, is it a gamble to him hit that kind of production? Of course it is. But boy, is that a gamble I don't want to take.
All right, at 1-8, I ended up taking Drake May. I was tempted to take wide receiver here. There were a lot of good ones available. And honestly, that's why I didn't, because there were a lot of good ones available that I valued fairly similar. But there was one particular quarterback that I liked his ceiling quite a bit. I've been a fan of his for a while. So I went with Drake May. I love what they did this offseason, getting him improved offensive line, improved running backs, improved receivers in Stephon Diggs and Kyle Williams. So they just did a lot of the right things. And he's a player that there's still enough question marks about him that he's another one that you can still get decently inexpensive for age and upside. And yes, is there still risk there? Absolutely. But what he did with arguably one of the worst supporting casts I've ever seen last year was really, really impressive. So Drake May for me at 1-8.
Yeah, that's a nice pick.
What'd you say, Matt?
No, I didn't hear.
I thought I can get later when I said I'm going to wait on quarterbacks. I like all the guys and boom, boom.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, it was Drake May, Bo Nix. There's still a lot of guys. Drake May, Bo Nix, CJ Stroud still on the board, JJ McCarthy. There's Cam Ward. There's Michael Penix. There's Jackson Dart. There are a lot of quarterbacks that we've gotten in these last couple drafts. And Bryce
Young.
Bryce Young is still out there as well. So a lot. I mean, we've got a pretty good influx here in the past few years. So we have a lot to work with as far as quarterbacks in this draft.
So I'm back on the clock. I got Malik Nabers. I got Ashton Jeanty. Missed out on Drake May. And I'm like, you know what? I can get Bo Nix here, but I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and take the wide receiver 4 overall last year at Brian Thomas. Like,
it's a good pick. I considered it.
It was just one of those things where like, man, so if this was I was looking at this team, like I want to take the best player available. I also want to have like I didn't want to just take all receivers, something like that. Like I want to build like somewhat of a team here as well. And I was like, man, Bo Nix is nice, but not as nice as Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas lined up in my roster right next to each other. And, for him, like, even if Travis Hunter eats into him, he takes a step back. And he's wide receiver 9 overall, and I have that for the next 7 years. Like, I'm okay with that as well. Like, he looked so good last year paired up with Trevor Lawrence. So I took Brian Thomas, and I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, that was the guy I was thinking about and eyeballing when I picked Caleb Williams. I ended up going Caleb Williams, but Brian Thomas is a good pick, man, because I'm still in on Brian Thomas, even though they went out and spent a high draft pick and traded a bunch of picks to get Travis Hunter. So that was a good one in my book. And at 10, I'm sitting there, and my dude
right.
Bo Nix, my dude Bo Nix is staring me in the face. And there's other guys on the board, CJ Stroud, all those other guys, but none of them finished 6th last year in his rookie season. And,
none of them finished specifically 6th.
None of them, except for Bo Nix. He was the one that did it. All those other guys, lower.
Or higher if they're Jayden Daniels or whatever.
Well, I already picked Jayden Daniels. So that's fine.
I know.
I'm saying
just nobody else finished specifically 6th.
That is true. It's like you called it a very specific time, and then Rich says every time is very specific. Anytime I call you is a specific time, so it's fine. So yeah, Bo Nix, obviously year 2 in the system. They got a fresh new running back in there. They got Evan Ingram they brought in as a tight end, to bolster that sort of attack. And just, what's his name? What's his name? 3rd round draft pick that they think is Mike Thomas.
Pat Bryant.
Pat Bryant. Yeah. So they're doing some things for him. And I think Bo Nix in general, we talked about it 1,000 times, but just great system fit there with Sean Payton's offense. So I think that's going to be success. That's going to kind of stick around there in Denver.
Yeah. And honestly, even though I've not been the biggest Bo Nix supporter in the world, had he fallen to 111, I probably would have taken my second quarterback. So I do think that was a good pick. But I definitely wasn't upset to get Puka Nacua at 111. I mean, over his first 2 seasons, he has been an absolute monster. When he has been on the field, he's just produced. That's all he's done. He had an amazing rookie season. He missed a little bit of time in year 2, but more than made up for it as soon as he got back on the field. It was like he never missed a beat and just kind of kept on going. Now Cooper Kupp is gone. Now they added a Devontae Adams, and that's going to obviously be somebody else that's going to get some targets. But like it's been in the past, it's basically a 2-man show. There's no other receivers around. There's no other super scary tight ends or anything like that. Like those 2 guys are going to get all the targets and they're going to perform well. So I feel really good about Puka Nacua here, a guy that's just absolutely proven it over the past 2 seasons, but yet is still very young.
Yeah, let's get one more in before we jump into our live reads, huh?
Yeah, the thing about Puka, I feel like, is he was so similar to Cooper Kupp that he made him basically expendable. And to make Cooper Kupp expendable is you got something pretty special on your hands there. So they went out and got Devontae Adams, who's a little bit different of a wide receiver. Well, those guys were pretty similar.
God, I wish I had more Devontae Adams shares for 2025 only.
Hey, I got him in a league I'm rebuilding. I can always make a deal.
Yeah, but you want something that I can't afford.
I want fair value.
Yeah.
It's fair value, Rich. That's it.
At 112 here, I'm sitting here and listen, there's 3 receivers that I absolutely love here. Like, love all 3 of these guys. And if this was like a 5-man cornerstone draft or a 12-man, my pick probably would be different. But the fact that it's just 3 of us, I know I'm going to get one of those receivers coming back to me 100%. So with Devon Achane, this is a player that when Tua Tagovailoa is behind the quarterback, like this guy's averaging 17 points per game. Like he's a true high-end difference maker running back. And just because, again, I feel like the Achane, like he still goes high, kind of died down amongst the dynasty community talk. Like I think you bring Jeanty in, the class of all these running backs, like you have all these new shiny toys. It's easy to see like Achane kind of like fall into that mix a little bit, but man, this is a guy who produces at extremely high level that, they can line him up in the slot. They can line him up behind the backfield, and he's gonna go out there, produce and bust off some big plays. So same thing. The last guy that I saw, does that mean, Hampton, Henderson, those guys can't become a high-end running back? Of course they can. But I know Achane can do it, and I've seen him do it. Even last year when Tua played, Achane played at a very high level. So I took Devon Achane at 112, and that would be technically the end of our first round of cornerstone players. It took us 30 minutes to get there. We did 4 rounds. So some of these we'll have to read extra quick to get past probably the second round, but that's what we do. That's what I do. I talk way more than I probably should. So
all right, before you do your live read, let me recap the first round. At 1-1, we had Jayden Daniels, then Brock Bowers, Malik Nabers, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ashton Jeanty, Caleb Williams there at 1-7. And then we had Drake May, Brian Thomas, Bo Nix, Puka Nakua, and Devon Achane.
Yeah, well, if you like that, as Kirk Cousins would say, you're gonna love this. You gotta check out our friends over at FastDraft. Right now, they got all kinds of drafts going on, and they're going fast. Literally, as that says, you're gonna get in there 5 minutes. You're gonna draft, and you're gonna draft the best ball team. Best ball. You draft the team, you forget it. They start the team for you. It's best ball. Best player is gonna start, and at the end of the year, whoever scores the most points gets all the cash. Sometimes extra people get cash too. They have a $50,000 contest going on right now where multiple people get paid out. And, best ball is just a really fun way to, scratch that itch. And what is that itch? Drafting fantasy football teams. It's fun. It's the funnest thing we do. It's why you find yourself in so many startups. And best ball is that great way to spend your summer. And right now, if you use the promo code NERDS, you drop some cash in the fast draft, they're going to double your deposit up to $50. So I would highly recommend dropping that 50 in there. So that way you're playing with $100. That gives you enough time, once a week to draft a team for the next 10 weeks and put yourself in position to see the value, how people are valuing these players right now in these fast drafts, and to keep your skills sharp. I love doing these best ball drafts to kind of again, put my feet to the fire. I'm on the clock. Who am I taking? It's always easy to say oh, I like this player than that player. But when you're building a team and you're building that structure, when you're on the clock, you have to make a selection. And fast draft, you got to make it quick because the clock is ticking and it's ticking fast. So get on fast draft. You go to draftfaster.com, go to your app store, get fast draft, use that promo code NERDS, get a double deposit, enter a $10 contest, enter the $50,000 gamma contest. And they have a lot more contests open this summer. And right now, if you do, for supporting our sponsors, if you deposit $10 and you play in $10 contest and you use the promo code NERDS, we're going to hook you up over at Dynasty Nerds. We're going to give you access to everything we got. That's right. You're going to see me, El Natural. Everything I got, baby. It's what God delivered. All the nerdhood in its glory. All of it. And boy, is it glorious. You ask your friends who have it, who's seen it. They know. Oh, my God, I can't keep my hands off it. I just can't keep my eyes off. I can't keep my hands. I'm touching it all the time. I'm staring at my phone, looking all nice. You get the Dynasty GM.
It's the weirdest ad read I've ever heard in my life.
It's only because you're aroused, Matthew. It's okay. I am
getting an email tomorrow that they're no longer a sponsor of the show.
We're twins. It's okay. I've already finished. Call you next week.
Fast draft.
Fast draft. Yeah.
Draft faster. Hashtag nerds. Or promo
code NERDS. And you're getting the Dynasty GM, the app, the film room, the Nerd Herd, the Nerd Score Plus, everything we have. Everything's going to roll out from here until the next year as well. It's going to be included. That's right. We just hired another developer. So we got more dope stuff coming. Hopefully fast, like fast draft. We're going to drop stuff as fast as fast drafts. That's not even possible. They draft too fast. So promo code NERDS, we're hooking you up. If you're a Nerd Herd member, we're going to send you a gift shop or the team shop or whatever our shop is, merch store, a gift certificate. I'm sorry. I'm going to have too much cold medicine earlier. I got a runny nose, man. Come on, calm down. Don't blame me. Blame the sniffles.
All right. And don't blame FFPC for that ad read either, because FFPC is a fantastic place to play Dynasty Fantasy Football. If you want to do just a chill league, $35, hey, use promo code NERDS. We're going to get you $25 off. That means you're paying $10 to get in a league. You're not going to find a league of any value any cheaper. When I talk about value, that's what you're getting over there at FFPC, because you don't have to worry about it being crummy league mates, the league folding, all that kind of stuff. Your money's safe. It's secure. This league is going to withstand the test of time, because they all have. They all have stood the test of time, and they're going to continue doing that over at FFPC. Yes, you can also play many different formats. It's not just one basic format, all kinds, tri-flex formats, and all kinds of cool, unique opportunities over there. So use promo code NERDS. You can use it on the $35 league, $100 league, or even a $2,500 entry fee league. Promo code NERDS, myffpc.com.
All right, back to reality and not so perverted ways of the Matthew O'Hara stories. Thank you. Please, be
Yes,
children.
I do apologize for any of that language. that
Apology
Richard-
accepted.
that
And
Richard
you know, it's
had
our treat
said.
to the kids. Sometimes you just have to learn to apologize. Like, it's okay. We all make mistakes, right?
It is true. That is
It's
a good life lesson.
Yeah, owning up, accepting it, and moving on. Like what we're gonna do right now with pick 2.
So moving on, 2-1. You know, we earlier in the first round, way back when, before Rich's weird reads, I was talking about Caleb Williams and I was eyeballing Brian Thomas. One of the reasons I did not pull the trigger on Brian Thomas is because I saw Brian Thomas, Puka Nacua, and this guy specifically, Marvin Harrison, still there on the board, and I figured I would be able to swoop him up next time. And you know, this being the three people here, it's you get that luxury of kind of waiting on guys a little bit, or if you see a little bit of depth and you like 3 guys, you know one of them's coming back to you. So Marvin Harrison Jr. sitting there at 2-1 was a really easy, quick pick for me. Obviously, there's the off-season fluff pieces that he put on weight and all this kind of stuff, blah 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 blah. But he's a very good wide receiver, you know, and didn't have a crazy rookie season or anything like that. But I do still expect big things out of Marvin Harrison Jr. going forward. And you know, as early as this year, we can really see his ADP jump quite a bit, I think. So Marvin Harrison Jr. was my pick here at 2-1.
Another what looks like an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow. Classic player. People are sitting here talking like Marvin Harrison Jr. had some dude had over 900 yards receiving as a rookie. Like he had a
885, but close enough.
Yeah, close. Okay, sorry. I thought I was a little bit higher, but dude, a fantastic year, like for a rookie, like great numbers. And you know, we've seen people put up other receivers in the past, put up those kind of numbers and then explode in their second and third year, right? His father put up those numbers. I saw the list of players that put up the same numbers as he put up and then turned out to be like just fine. And it's a really sexy list. And his skill set from college to the pros is still phenomenal. So I still believe in a player. Easily see him have a 1,300 yard receiving season in his bag this year, and then even grow into his third year. I don't have enough shares. Is a better way to say it.
So it's a good
all right. At 2-2, I'm really excited about this player. I got Jackson Smith-Njigba, and the more I've been kind of digging into him a little bit this year too, the more excited I'm getting about him. He had a 100 catch season this past year, and they got rid of DK Metcalf. And you say, man, he got 100 receptions. That seems like a lot. It is, folks. It is. But the crazy part is, guess where he ranked just amongst pass catchers. Guess where he ranked in target share percentage? Where would you think?
It had to have been a lot. He had 137 targets, so it had to have been
not as high as you would think.
Not as high as you'd think. I could tell by I was just saying, I looked up and I saw your face and I went, oh, all right, maybe not that high.
No. 30th. He was 30th in target share last year. Only 24% of the targets came his way. So you remove an obstacle like 24.4 to be exact. Two players he was behind. 2 players he was behind in target share percentage. Now, granted, these guys, you know, one of them missed some time and whatnot, but Rashid Shaheed and Wan'Dale Robinson had slightly higher target share percentages in the games they played last year. So this tells you that there is a real chance for Jackson Smith-Njigba's numbers to really skyrocket this year. And he also was a wide receiver 1 with only 6 receiving touchdowns. So if the target share goes up and there's an opportunity for more touchdowns, his season could absolutely be bonkers. So I am getting increasingly excited about any Jackson Smith-Njigba share I have. And in fact, I'm now also trying to pursue getting more.
Yeah, one of those, again, these cornerstone players, man, you can't get enough of them, right? These are the go out and get, and 2 for 1. Here, I'll give you 2 good players that are like a little bit older to get just one good player like for my cornerstone. Same reason I took Ladd McConkey next, and almost I obviously I don't know his target share percentage off the top of my head, but like everything you said, Garrett, right? Comes in wide receiver 1, year 1 out the gate. Absolutely loved his tape coming out of Georgia. And, with Justin Herbert, we talk about, the path to produce at a high level. They didn't bring any competition in they drafted Trey Harris in the second round. They drafted a running back in the first round, but like from a true like wide receiver 1 standpoint, like even for Jackson Smith-Njigba, be like, well, they brought in Cooper Kupp, right? Like there's something to say for a lot of other players out there. Besides like, outside of like maybe like a Jerry Jeudy and Malik Nabers, like, guys that didn't have a lot around him already. Ladd McConkey does not have much to go out there, and that rapport for him and Justin Herbert's only going to grow. I love that he's an elite route runner, consistently getting open. And we saw like how he ended the season. What do you have, like 175 yards at the end of season last year? This is a player who finishes wide receiver 1 and has a path to finish even higher in 2025. Like, I honestly do feel the same way about Jackson Smith-Njigba too. Like, from a statistical standpoint, even though I love Marvin Harrison Jr. long term, I can see Jackson Smith-Njigba and Ladd McConkey both finishing higher from a fantasy football production standpoint again this year than Marvin. It's very well possible. Ladd McConkey be one of those guys that kind of like, I think Ladd McConkey again is another player that can kind of really cement himself with an ADP jump, right? Like if he finishes to say Ladd McConkey, which I think this is very possible, finishes like wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 this year after finishes like wide receiver 12 last year. Like he's going to go second round startup value right around there, which is a nice statistical jump. So you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Garrett, like these last couple of years, like here we are 2-3, like we have alphas here we're still taking. And I know some people might not still consider probably Jackson Smith an alpha or Ladd McConkey, but I sure as hell do. Like these are guys that I feel very comfortable if these are my wide receiver 1s, right? These are the guys that make it okay for me to go quarterback like Brock Bowers quarterback before I take that like young wide receiver I want, because I know I can come away still with like a Jackson Smith or Ladd McConkey as my wide receiver 1. And people are like, well, I got Jamar Chase or I got Justin Jefferson or Brian Thomas. Like, yeah, that's cool. But I got this quarterback and this tight end, and I got Ladd McConkey or Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yep, absolutely.
Just to give you a number, target percentage for Ladd McConkey, 22.9%. So even less than
good. Yeah, but dude, if you're over 20% target share, like that, you're a happy camper from a fantasy football production.
For sure. Yeah, so he actually led the wide receivers there. So pretty good. I'm up next at 2-4, and this is I pulled the trigger on Omarion Hampton here. Great to me, value. He was the last guy, not the last guy, but the guy that stuck out the most to me as like the prototypical 3-down back that I can see catching passes as well. Obviously, this year is going to be a little goofy with Najee there on basically a 1-year deal there, but moving forward, Omarion Hampton I think is going to be this slam dunk kind of 3-down grinding back that also catches passes.
I was hoping so bad that he was going to fall one more pick because I almost took him with where JSN is, and I was like, realistically, I would never take him over JSN. He is just too good, too talented. But I really like the upside of Omarion Hampton in this offense. I mean, would you guys be surprised? Like, what would you set the over-under at his career high rushing yardage mark? Like 1,700? Like, would it shock you at all if he had a 1,700-yard season rushing the football?
I was gonna get. You said what would it be? I would guess 1,600 around there. 1,650 wouldn't shock me. All-purpose yards, 2,000 yards in that offense.
I think is realistic.
Very realistic.
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally. So I'm all in on this guy. I think that was a great pick. I was up next. It got to a point where I was trying to look at. There was a couple other players that I thought were more fun. And I was like, I'd have a lot more fun taking these guys. But getting a quarterback that has been a quarterback one before, we've seen it out of him. I'm down on him overall. But even with him, I mean, if you have him as your quarterback too, you're absolutely thrilled. CJ Stroud, he's going to be very steady, very solid for a long time. I don't know that we ever see him as a top 6 type of guy. Is it possible? Sure. But he would have to enter that like Joe Burrow type of echelon, which I just don't see as realistic. But do I think he's going to be, but do I see him as a quarterback 8 to 15 pretty consistently over the next decade? Yeah, I do. And so I think he's going to constantly hover between that quarterback 1, quarterback 2. Oh, he was 11 this year. Oh, he was 13 this year. Oh, he was 9 that year. Like, I think he's going to constantly live there and just be a really solid, steady guy. And those aren't overly exciting if he's your quarterback 1. But if you can get those kind of guys as your quarterback 2s, the Jared Goffs have kind of lived in that range forever too. You know, those types of players. Kirk Cousins was that guy forever. If he can kind of end up in that type of mold, you're going to be thrilled to have him as your quarterback 2 for a very long time.
Yeah, and then Jared Goff's a good comp forward too.
Yeah, it is a good comp, but I mean, he obviously can't be quarterback 6 because Bo Nix is. So
that's true.
I mean, that's
yeah. He lives there. That's his home.
That's his house. Yeah, so it's all good. Anywhere but there.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this to nauseum, right? About CJ Stroud, how we're down on him, consider him a sell. When I went on JJ Zacharyason's show last week, he was my sell, and I was like, and I said even before I go into it, I was like, I just want to re-emphasize this point to your listeners. Just because I say somebody is a sell on my show or on your show does not mean I like that player. Do not like that player. It just means I feel like his ADP is overvalued. And CJ Stroud right now with a value of 23 overall, and ADP to me is just way too high. And obviously I made my comp. I was like, I trade him for Brock Purdy plus, which is an ADP of 45, Mm-hmm. So yeah, but you can't go wrong with a 23-year-old quarterback who's going to live in that range and be a top 60 overall scorer. So
I was real quick before you go, Rich, I want to ask this question as you talk about this player that you went with, because I know early on in the process, you said that this guy was in a different tier than Travis Hunter. But I've seen in this and in some real life drafts that you've taken this player over him. So has there been like a switch for you where they're now kind of in the same tier?
Of him and Travis Hunter?
Of Travion Henderson, the guy you're about to take in Travis Hunter.
Yeah, but remember I said at the end of watching Travis Hunter's tape, like I moved him up to Travion Henderson's tier.
Okay, I think right after the draft, I remember you saying it was Travis Hunter, Omarion Hampton, Cam Ward. That's the tier. Then Travion is in the next tier. Or is that not true? Am I making that up?
Well, he froze. Or am I froze?
I think Rich froze. He's frozen.
I think he froze.
Like for real.
That's hilarious. This is a very funny time for him to be frozen.
It was a very funny time. Because for a while, it was like I just thought he couldn't believe what you were saying, but I think he actually froze. So to come back to Rich for that answer. But
so he took Travion Henderson at 2.6.
I was going to say, should we just roll on here?
Yeah.
He took Travion Henderson. I was going to flip up my Ohio State shirt because like Ohio State's basically running this whole second round here, starting with Marvin Harrison, going Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now we got CJ Stroud, Travion Henderson. So whenever Rich gets unfrozen, we can have his explanation of Travion Henderson. But until then,
sorry,
he's back.
Your remote. I don't even know what happened. I thought you froze. No, but anyways, going back here, like I thought I'm almost positive I moved Travis Hunter into that tier. But yes, I would still take Travion Henderson ahead of Travis Hunter. It just falls in my category of like sticking to the tape, right? Like I think Travion Henderson's a different maker at the running back position, and there's more receivers I can grab. And Travis Hunter, the same argument I'm making about Brian Thomas, like he's got Travis Hunter. Well, guess what? The stronger argument which should be made is like Travis Hunter's got Brian Thomas, right? Like doesn't mean like Matt said earlier, like doesn't mean even though like I still want Brian Thomas, I still want Travis Hunter, but Travion Henderson has a team that who's the number one receiver on the Patriots for the next 3 years? It ain't Stephon Diggs. Maybe it's Kyle Williams. Realistically, he's not there. Travion Henderson is an excellent pass catcher running back. He's probably the best third down blocking running back I've ever seen when it comes to pass protection. We have a mobile quarterback in Drake May that can move outside the pocket and dump passes off to him. Travion Henderson is like, we mention this guy all the time when it comes to like that elite pass catcher running back, Alvin Kamara. Trevion Henderson can fall into that mold, right? Like we could be talking about Trevion just like we were talking about Achane 2 years ago. So I know you said, you know, when Hampton went off the board with Matt, they're like, oh, this isn't the last guy. I do think Henderson's like that last guy that I'm like super excited about to get on my running back roster. And same thing, I needed a quarterback still, but I'm still taking kind of best player available here from positional value. And we all know when it comes to that high scoring stud running back, like if they hit, they open the doors so much. Like right now, is there any receiver you can't get for Gibbs? Right? Like Chase is gonna go ahead of him.
Chase is probably the only one. Maybe Jefferson.
Even then, it's a possibility, right?
Like,
You know, it's like, hey, dude,
his name opens the door on all those guys, right?
He opens the door. Like he's not a solicitor. People are gonna answer the door. Like you're like a Girl Scout holding those cookies. Like everybody's opening the door. They got to see what's going on over there. You know, I don't even like cookies, but I'm answering the door. So with Trevion Henderson, for me, he's that last elite young running back that I had to get my hands on. And I can't pass up that kind of value of what I think he could potentially do there in New England, just on his literally on his PPR ability alone. I think he's going to live in that running back one zone.
Love it. No doubt about it, man. I think that's a great pick there. Trevion, I was looking back and forth when I picked Hampton, so I get it. 2 picks later to grab him there. I think that's a great move.
And honestly, I've had some picks where like I have like the 1-2, I know I gotta take Hampton, but in my gut I'm going, I really want Trevion. Like, but I know I know the right pick. I just hope like 6 years from now, I'm going, see, I knew it was the right pick off the tape. I should have taken Henderson over him. Draft capital ruin it for me.
The old, God, what was the guy that you traded Le'Veon Bell for? Money Ball.
Yes.
Oh, whew,
worst trade I've ever made in the history of Dynasty fantasy football.
Yikes.
Well, actually, no, I gave him Sean Watson too, like a first and a second. That was pretty bad too. That's probably worse because I was actually able to start Money Ball a couple times. He had a couple good games. Crying over there on the sideline. Thanks a lot.
All right.
So at 2-7, listen, we went Brock Bowers at 1-2 and have not had another tight end since then. And this is a tight end premium. So 2-7, I'm starting to itch a little bit because I don't know when these guys are going to go. And if I'm going to get one, like I feel like I smell rocks, Joe Rogan. I got to pick a tight end here. And Sam Laporta is sitting there. Obviously, you know, his rookie season in 2023, he was the number 1 tight end in all fantasy. This past season in 2024, he did take a step back a little bit. I think he finished at 8, but still worth it to me here to go out and get a guy that has potential to be one of those guys that's in the top 3, right? Like it could very well be Bowers and Laporta and what's his name from Arizona. That my brain's not working.
McBride.
Thank you, Trey McBride, as like the 1, 2, and 3 pretty simply and easily this next season. So, thank you for the support there with Trey McBride. I don't know why my brain wasn't working there, but
yes, this was the first pick I didn't love with who was on. This is the one I was like, and I think it's more so like I don't know, like I'm worried Laporta is going to fall into that mold of like that next. I'm worried with the emergence of Jahmyr Gibbs. And again, I know Ben Johnson leaving changes things in that offense, in the passing game with Amon, with Jameson Williams, bringing Isaac. It's just like, does Laporta was that rookie year just like with Jameson Williams being hurt, with not the emergence of Jahmyr Gibbs? Like, was that just a perfect storm to be the tight end 1? And now we're going to live off of that for like until it slowly dissipates and like other guys jump him. Like, not saying he's a bad tight end. They can't do it again, but like part of that like worries me where like I'm just going to go ahead and like there's a difference between Laporta and Jonnu Smith. Like somebody can get like much later, like that much different, or like even like an Evan Ingram in Denver, something along those lines. So that's just a one guy that I'm a little like worried about when it comes to ADP and where he's going in drafts. Like, oh man, that's a lot of risk involved. And like those players that I think let me say, maybe last year might be a little bit closer to what he's going to end up being in Dynasty compared to his rookie year.
Sure. And 14 points a game for his rookie year, right around 10.1 or something like that last year. So obviously a big difference, 4 points per game is huge, and kind of that's the difference between being a difference making tight end and just that guy that hovers around 7 or 8. So we will see. And we even said when Sam Laporta, after his rookie year, like, listen, he did it on the back of a ton of touchdowns. It was 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, is he still going to be able to fill that role? If he gets a buttload of touchdowns, I think he can just jump right back up there. He also got a lot of targets, 120 targets. So I doubt he'll do that again anytime soon, unless somebody gets injured. So
I've been
to your
thinking
point,
about
Rich,
selling my shares. Like, I still have a lot of shares in before we get in the next season. Again, not giving away, but like just trying to maybe like pivot, like get like, because right now, like, ooh, what can I get? Like, can I get like Evan Ingram plus? Can I, like, again, can I still gamble on Dalton Kincaid? Is there another young tight end out there that I really like plus for Sam Laporta? I'm leaning towards that move this summer. Still keep a couple shares, but I might be pivoted. Just me. Garrett?
Interesting quote I just saw. There was like I follow all the beat writers or something for all the NFL teams, like some Twitter thing kind of grabs a bunch of beat writers stuff and and sends them out. He said something about, it was like Dalton Kincaid, like they were asking him what his goals were and stuff, and he's like, to get bigger, stronger, and faster is like the main goal, but it was in like the present tense, which bugged me a little bit, because you just had the off season. You should have been getting bigger and stronger and faster in your time off. Not now. Not now. Not now.
Surgery. He had surgery.
What did he have surgery on?
He had his knee cleaned up.
Okay. All right.
But I understand.
Listen, Dalton Kincaid's starting to bug me, man. He's starting to bug me.
I get it. As an ex matrimonial, like, I get it. I'm bugged. But kind of like somebody made a Garrett like on Twitter to Garrett the other day, and they're like, dude, why do you have Tucker Kraft like here? And Garrett's like, literally, dude, once you get past these top 3 dudes, like, they're all the same. You know what I mean?
They're
like,
all the same.
We've been saying the same thing for 15 years, and it's still the same thing. And and that's the same thing. Like, I was like, and that's what really started that's kind of started my whole thought process of Sam Laporta. I was like, yeah, Garrett's kind of right. Like, outside of those top 2 guys, like, is there really a big difference? Like, I'm honestly right now more attracted to the old guys, like the Jonnu Smith and
George Kittle.
Yeah, well, Kittle for sure. I love with the extension, but like Jonnu Smith, Evan Ingram, those guys are like they're much drastically cheaper, right? Than like we're going to invest in, like, because I'm still taking Kincaid as like tight end 4, tight end 5, because I'm going to gamble that. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
and it's a gamble, but it's like even more so. Like, I need that Bowers.
Perfect. All right, at pick 208, I ended up taking Travis Hunter. And I didn't think he was going to last quite this long. And I do get the potential risks involved. Yes, he could end up playing more DB than we're expecting. Yes, he could take a back seat to Brian Thomas. But you don't invest that type of draft capital. And it's not just being the number 2 overall pick. It's all that they had to trade to get the number 2 overall pick in a brand new regime that's like, we're hitching our cart to this guy. Like, this is our identity now. So yes, I get the risk involved, but they have so much invested in this kid. And after watching his tape too, the raw ability of a Travis Hunter is just so tantalizing here, that he's one of the players that you get a little bit later because of all of the young studs, but could easily end up in a year or two being like, oh, remember when you could get Travis Hunter this late and now he's, picked 2-2 in our draft? Like, yeah, I could see that happening. So Travis Hunter here for me at 208.
Yeah, and this is where, like, oh, Matt took Sam Laporta over Travis Hunter. Come on.
Tight end premium, bro. Tight end premium, man.
1.5, bro. I mean, you only
was hanging
catch,
out. I was hanging out with my kids way too much this weekend. Even my daughter calls me bruh now. Come on, man.
we're at a baseball game and somebody literally said, like, dude, I asked my daughter to bring in the lawn chairs. He just wrote back, bruh. Like, oh, man. Well, anyways, I'm on the clock next, 2-9, and this is why I waited on quarterback. And people are like, why, Rich? Why'd you wait? What'd you do? Who'd you take?
What did you get? Who'd you do? Not who'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you take?
It's not on the board.
It's not Donkey Kid anymore.
And I went JJ McCarthy, which is like, when you're going to cornerstone your quarterback here with your first quarterback taken on a player that tore his ACL, never even played a snap last year, and is only 21 years old, like, what is your?
I think it was just a meniscus for him, wasn't it? It wasn't like an ACL.
Oh, okay, meniscus, ACL, meniscus, Achilles, patella. It's all not the same. This falls in the category. I've said this multiple times. Is I am all in on JJ McCarthy for 2025. Like, I can't get enough shares of him because in Superflex, I believe in that Minnesota offense and that Minnesota coaching tree to the highest degree. Like, when we talk about like Sean McVay offense, like, I think we're gonna be talking about for a while. He just got a contract extension, I think a month ago. Kevin O'Connell, what he has done with his quarterbacks as a coordinator and now as a head coach is nothing short of excellent. He made Nick Mullins look good. He made old Kirk Cousins look good. He turned Sam Darnold, a quarterback that nobody wanted on their roster, from he had 4 different stops, into a Pro Bowl quarterback and resurrected his career. So when the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell are all in on JJ McCarthy, I am all in on JJ McCarthy as well. He's set up with 2 strong running backs, an all-pro tight end, an all-pro receiver, and another first-round receiver in Jordan Addison right behind him. He has everything he needs for success. Same thing going back to like Caleb Williams, right? Like the same thing I'm in. I feel just as good about JJ McCarthy. And he's the number 1 guy that I would be targeting in startups as my quarterback too. And then like backing him up with like a safety net of like a Matt Stafford behind him, right? Like he's a guy that I like when I go into startups, I target certain areas of guys I'm gonna take above ADP by round. And there's probably like a handful of guys, 4 or 5 guys that like I have to get. And right now, JJ McCarthy is one of those guys when it comes to value. He'll probably be the guy to start. We'll see how fast he hits the ground running here, but like kind of how I was talking about like Brock Purdy for a couple of years, and now he's signed an extension. I think JJ McCarthy is another guy that fits the bill of like, you know what? I'm gonna go out and pay a little extra for JJ. I'm gonna take that risk. Like, I'm gonna assume the risk. And right now, like for a guy who hasn't done anything, very obtainable, right? Like there's like same thing. I have no problem trading CJ Stroud for like JJ McCarthy plus like a first plus, something along those lines. Like he's the guy I want to get, and he's going to get the opportunity in Minnesota that he deservedly so. Even he comes out, he's just okay. Like, oh, he was hurt last year. He's going to get another year. Like you have 2 years in this offense of JJ McCarthy. And I think this offense will be enough to kind of do the same thing that Brock Purdy did. Like where Brock Purdy wasn't the best quarterback ever, but in that offense, he really thrived. I think JJ is going to do the same thing and give us those, maybe he's at a quarterback 1, maybe he lives in that quarterback 14, 15 range. But again, that's better than CJ Stroud's been doing. And we see his price tag of ADP of 24. And why did I say CJ Stroud like lived in that range? It's because he was a 22-year-old quarterback. Exactly what JJ McCarthy is going to be. So when you get up to that range and you're that young a quarterback, you see a massive ADP jump. And I think that's what we're in store for in 2025 with JJ McCarthy.
Nice. No argument for me, man. JJ McCarthy's a really solid pick right here. And I echo everything you say, man. I think he was poised to win that competition last year before the injury against Sam Darnold, who went on to have a Pro Bowl year. So I think JJ McCarthy is the right guy for that system. And really either way, I mean, Josh Dobbs was good in this system. Like if you could say Josh Dobbs was good in this system, like anyone could be good in this system.
I forgot about that. I forgot
Yeah.
like early on the first couple games he ripped it.
Yep, he sure did. So at 210, I'm up again, and I don't care. I already started scratching that itch, and if you've ever had a mosquito bite, if once you start scratching, you're screwed. All right. So I go Colson Loveland here. That's my next guy up here in my order. He's the guy that I feel like has a ton of upside as far as pass catching ability and has the upside to be in this like conversation of a top guy. Obviously obvious roadblocks are just so many targets to go, so many guys on that team right now that the targets can go to. But I do really feel like the cream will rise to the top, and he's going to be one of these guys in a couple of years. That is just one of the better guys on the team. If it's Rome Odunze and him, or if it's DJ Moore still and him, it's going to be he's going to be one of the top two guys there. So I feel real confident about Colson Loveland going forward.
I have a question now for you.
Okay.
Here. You took Sam Laporta with the last pick.
Sure.
And if you're in a rookie draft today, you're not taking Colson Loveland ahead of Quinshon Judkins, Ted McMillan, or Cam Ward.
In tight end premium,
you wouldn't take
maybe
Colson Loveland ahead of Quinshon Judkins, Ted McMillan, and Cam Ward. Certainly not Cam Ward.
Certainly not Cam Ward, but I'd taken so many quarterbacks.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You did take a lot of quarterbacks. That makes okay.
I've taken so many at the.
Not trying to 300, but I was like, oh, that was again. I was like, when you picked him, I was like, Colson Loveland or Cam Ward, Ted McMillan, and Quinshon. I was like,
I was a little surprised as well.
That must be distracted.
Listen, I like surprising you guys. Okay, I like to throw a curveball, but like I said, I saw it.
That wasn't even my outrage pick. Wait till the next show when I really have my outrage pick.
I know
you took him.
Yes, I did, and we're gonna get to that next show. But for now, I'm Colson Loveland. I'm in Loveland.
Loveland. All right, at 211, I ended up going with Quinshon Judkins. Was very, very close to pulling the trigger on Ted McMillan. The reason I chose not to was because I looked at yes, I was terrified. But the other reason that I didn't, other than the tiny bit of piss in my pants, was because I looked at the running back position and how far it kind of fell off compared to compared to at least in my rankings, compared to all of the other guys at the other positions, wide receiver, quarterback. There were still plenty of other guys at those other positions that I felt were in a similar tier. I did not feel like there was a player in a similar tier. Now, I know who Rich was considering taking, because for a second, did you actually take him and then put him back, or did your cursor just hover over him for a long time? I don't remember which it was.
I was gonna take him, and
I thought so.
I was like, I wouldn't do this in a rookie draft. Right? And again, I knew I can get him later.
You knew you were gonna get him, yeah.
But I
in the third, I almost took him just to spite you. And I was like, yeah, I would never do that.
I knew you would have taken the other running back that you did take ahead of him. That's again, it's just about knowing your league mates and know where you can get players sometimes too. Because I did consider taking that runner. You'll find out who that was. It shouldn't be a shock next episode. But I really did consider taking him here.
So who did you take at 212?
I took Ted McMillan, and it was between him and Cam Ward. But if I was honest, I felt really comfortable I can get Cam Ward or Michael Penix with my next pick, and Ted McMillan with that draft capital in his situation. Yeah, I don't love the way he gets off the line, but I love everything else about him. He's going to be the clear one probably in this offense. So for me, it was real close between McMillan and Ward. Same thing. And even after I took him, I was like, I probably should have taken Cam Ward there since I only have JJ McCarthy. But again, I took the guy that even considering now, I'm trying to make an argument for, and I don't. I should have taken Cam Ward, but I took that one. What am I gonna do?
It worked out though. It worked out.
It did work out. It worked out really, really well. So that's 2 rounds. The show obviously went way longer than we thought it would, I guess it's not what we thought. So we're just gonna pick up tomorrow's show where we left off. We have third and fourth round to go.
A lot of good players left.
A lot of good players. Obviously, a lot to talk about. You know, I think sometimes there's more to talk about. Like the easy top guys are easy. Like you gotta explain
not hard.
yourself. Like Matt, explain yourself. Taking these tight ends, explain yourself. You took Colston Loveland over Cam Ward.
You took Pat McMillan over Cam Ward. I mean, like, what are we doing? Everyone took everybody off over Cam Ward. He hasn't gone yet. Everybody we took has been taken before Cam Ward.
I cannot believe you took Marvin Harrison Jr. over Cam Ward.
Right.
So we have more to
so many players.
So many players. So, and again, this shows you rankings and startups and certain like the drafts you win really dictate how these players go. And here we are, just three of us. And I'm already second guessing my picks outside of already multiple times second guessing Matt's picks. So.
But there's so much psychological stuff that goes into it. Every single pick, you see the lists that are there that are still available. You're like running triage. Like, would I rather this guy over this guy, but at different position groups? Well, I can get a guy similar to this guy at my next pick and feel good about it. So I'm going to go over to this column and get this guy.
There's really good players left on the board. Like, really,
it's so easy to rationalize in drafts like this.
And you're right.
Taking one player at the time, because it makes perfect sense. When you see it like this, just write down a list, and then the questions start to come up. You know what I mean?
It's when you wake up next morning, like, what did I do last night?
Exactly.
Oh, no. Plus his girlfriend.
Woof.
All right. Take us out.
Adios.